All right, this is a video trip report of the Virgin River in St. George, Utah. We ran from the Man o' War Bridge in Bloomington down to the Cedar Pockets Exit in the Virgin River Gorge. So you see right here, there is a lowhead dam just below the bridge. This is about 100 yards below it. So we put in below it than trying to run it. We've ran it a few times. It's a little sketchy, just better just to put in below there. Most of this section is pretty flat water down to the gorge. This is the only spot where there's actually some negotiating. This is probably 3 miles in. Mostly class 2 water, pretty straightforward, nothing dangerous. Read and run. I think today was about 1200 CFS. 700 to 1200 is perfect. So right now we're entering the gorge. I didn't get any video of it, but there's actually some power lines that you go under. And once you reach those power lines, you have reached the fish dam. This is not runnable. You have to get out. So when you see the transmission lines running across the river, get out of your boat. We tried to get out on the left. There is a bushwhack and it was pretty muddy and just, it wasn't good. So left did not go. Left's easier because there's more of slack water. If you see right now, I'm on the right side of the river where there's some concrete. It's a lot harder to catch this eddy. At this flow, it was doable. I was able to ferry across, get on the concrete and hop out. If you look, it's probably 5-6 feet deep right now at 1200 CFS. If this gets up to about 2000 plus, it's really hard to get out right here. This is probably the most dangerous part of the whole river. You do not want to run the fish dam. I mean, I'm sure you could run it above 2,000, 2,500, but I would say don't do it. It's just sketchy. So right at 1,200, it actually kind of looks like you could do it. I'll show you here in a minute what it looks like, but I've never run it and I don't recommend it. So we were able to get out, carry our boats around in portage below the dam. So there's the dam right there. You can see it's flushing out. There's no water that's going to catch you up, but that's a 10-foot drop, and it's pretty abrupt. And there's a lot of concrete and riprap, and there is rebar down there. I've gone down there in the summer, and I didn't like what I saw, so I've never ran it. Portage, safest option.
They were huge that first time.
So once you get below the fish dam, things start to get interesting. A lot more sand waves, the canyon walls start to rise. The next 3 or 4 miles is pretty fun. There's nothing big, it's all read and run. And the views are pretty stunning. It's a real hard section of river to get to. And so if you want to run this, you got to put into Bloomington and you got to negotiate the fish dam.
All right. We're in the gorge right now, and the water is super, super dirty. I mean, it's like mud.
A lot of parts of the river are going to get split, and it's best option is to go with the flow. Find the biggest section of water and go with it. And for the most part, it's read and run. I don't know of any giant holes or anything that is super sticky. Just watch out for strainers and stay in the flow. See, there could be some holes like right there, but none of them are sticky. They're pretty easy to run. Yeah, this section of river below the fish dam to the first Virgin River I-15 bridge is just, it's phenomenal. The canyon is super pretty.
Prepare for a surprise.
The sand waves are pretty elusive. I've encountered them, but it seems like you got to be above 1500 CFS to get the sand waves. At this 1200 that we caught, there was no, the sand waves were pretty small. I think I'm pointing up at an arch right now. One thing about the Virgin River is there's lots of wall shots where the river just comes to an abrupt 90-degree angle, and you got to deal with all the hydraulics of this. You run too close to the wall, it's kind of sketchy. If you try to stay away from the wall, you get caught in a whirlpool, so you got to catch that fine line. Right there was where the Black Rock Wash comes in, and this is another wall shot. We're getting pretty close to the very first river crossing on I-15 heading south. So there's a pretty good wall shot right here, and a boiling eddy just right next to it. So you got to kind of ride that eddy line down. So this is the part where things start to get interesting right below here. If you're taken out at the first river crossing, this is the only real rapid you have to deal with. And this is a good indicator of what's happening below. If you had fun running this section right before the bridge, you're going to enjoy the rest of it. If this scared you, you should get out right now. If you look at the left-hand corner of the screen, you're going to start seeing semis going by, because this is the first river crossing on the I-15 heading southbound. So most of our group got out here. We had a couple cars parked on the northbound side of the freeway. There's a spot you can park right there, and most of them got out right here. This took 3 to 4 hours, I believe, from the Man o' War Bridge to get to here. The next section will take you about an hour and a half to 2 hours down to Cedar Pockets. So we hopped out, said our goodbyes, and then me and Dave went and ran more of the rapids below here.
Plenty of beach right there, Heather. Go beneath Dave. There you go. Yeah, there's plenty of beach right here. You can come down further.
I am the most awesome.
Oh.
I'm the most awesome.
Yeah, it's a little dirty.
Secured.
Boats? What boats?
There were no boats on this ride.
I'm so dirty. I'm filthy.
All right, so now we're gonna run the lower section from the first river crossing to Cedar Pockets. This is when it actually gets rowdy. There are some holes, it's bigger water. It's definitely experienced. At 1200 CFS, it's a good time. So once you get below the first bridge, there's a giant rock pile to the left. So you're gonna wanna run river right here. And it's pretty straightforward. If you look to the left here in a second, you're gonna see a pile of rocks. They're just barely exposed right now. All right, now first bend, the river splits. I've always stayed right here. There's a big chunk of river running left, but I've never gone down there, and this is totally fine. All right, after that, there's a rock up here on the left side of the river that's a good indicator. You see it right there. If it's exposed, the river is going to be fun. You're going to have a good time. If that rock is buried, it's going to be big and it's going to be pushy. This part is just littered with boulders. Nothing gigantic. Pretty good of just a read and run and tee up. All right, after that, there is a spot where you get really close to the sandstone cliff on the right. There is a pretty good rapid after this. I think we call it tabletop. There's several large boulders that are in the river that create some pretty big holes. So to go past that sandstone wall, I ran pretty far left on this one to avoid it. Last time I went right in the hole, and I wanted just to take a conservative line. So if you stay far left along the bank here, you'll be fine. So there's the first hole right there. It's not too bad. You look, there's the second one. It's a little bit bigger. And there's one more coming up. There's the third one right there. They're they're pretty wide. They're right in the middle of the river. So if you stay far left, you can avoid all of them. This isn't named, but it's a staircase rapid. Just it river steps down. No big holes, just big waves. All right, the next one's called Grapevine or Keyhole. You're gonna wanna run far right on this. You're gonna see some great leaps on the left-hand bank, and that's a dead giveaway, but running right here is perfect. Just big waves right down the middle. Most of the time when you're running this river, it's going to be flood stage, so it's going to be filthy. It's really hard to read, especially in the late afternoon. If you can run this earlier in the day, it's better, but late in the afternoon, you're going to get a lot of glare. This is Keyhole Rapid. This is the best one in my opinion. On the far right-hand side, there's concrete and riprap. That's how you know you're at it. And you just run right down the middle, just giant standing waves right here. No big holes, everything's flushed out, so ride right down the middle and have fun.
That thing was a gelling. It did so much better once you got one of these.
Oh boy.
All right, this is Aztec. You're gonna notice you're in a smaller limestone canyon that tightens up. This line can get kind of big. You can just run left to be safe. This time I went right in the middle of it. You can see the freeway up there. But yeah, run left's conservative, but right down the middle, just big waves. Crunchy waves. All fun. Just below here on the left, there is actually a granary that's built in the wall. It's really hard to see. It's pretty low. After that, the river opens up and the canyon walls drop down. This is getting pretty close to Cedar Pockets. This part of the river is just chock full of boulders. I usually just stay right in the middle and just tee up to everything. Below 1,000 CFS, they're going to be rocks. You're going to see them. You might get stuck on them. Above 2,000, they turn into bigger holes. But at 1,200 CFS, you can hit everything. It's fine. After that, this wall is always in the shade because we're doing it late in the afternoon, but there's a hard right here, and the left is kind of nasty. It pushes you up against the wall, so I've always stayed far right here and bypassed all the nastiness that's happening on the left. At above 2,000 CFS, this is really pushy, and it wants to push you right into that wall. And this whirlpool eddy right after is boiling.
That's such an easy
Real
sneak,
fine
though.
line to get through. After that, that's basically it. You're going to have a few more turns, some just boogie water all the way down to the Cedar Pockets where the takeout is. Fast water. The water is below the first river crossing on the I-15 heading southbound. It is fast. There's really no flat water. Above that to Man of War, it's tons of flat water. You know you're getting close because you're going to start seeing RVs, campers up on the bank on your right-hand side right here. There was actually some people today sitting up there watching us do this section. River gets pretty tight the last mile. The banks are really close. The takeout, I think, is pretty obvious. There's a pretty large sandstone hill on your right-hand side at the takeout and a very small eddy after it that you can catch. I don't believe I got it on footage, but I believe you'll see it. You'll see it because you can see the campground. It's pretty straightforward. All right, we're at the takeout right now. There's a sandy beach on the right-hand side. We're just below some sandstone cliffs that were on your river right. I think I'll pan over right there. There they are. All right, there you go. Done.
That was dirty. That was so dirty.
How was it? Was it fun?
Oh my god, that was a great flow. It wasn't pushy, wasn't scary.
Big and it was really muddy. Did you know it's muddy?
And there was
like,
glare.
Which is the haystack?
There's so much
There
glare.
were like 4 that were the haystack. And then you see the corner, you know, where it pushes you right, and then you're like...
Yeah, I'm glad. That was great. Thank you.